Guys, in this video, we're going to break down a very simple trade that even a beginning trader can take over the course of the next 2 weeks. We're going to give you the catalyst. We're going to break down the chart and the historic analysis that are going to be crucial into you understanding this trade. Now, there's a ton of crazy trades out there that actually, return-wise, will exceed this trade by far, but this is an easy trade that does not require you to be glued to your trading screen every moment of the day. So even if you're working out there, even if you're involved in running your business and other things, and you cannot pay attention 100% to your screen, you can put this trade together easily. Now, a lot of headlines are going to be focused on the Putin Biden situation over the next couple of weeks, particularly where things could be escalating towards the end of this week. So this trade is still very early on in the making. We have actually initiated this trade with our group last week at a much better price level. So as a disclosure, understand that if you were a paying member, you would have already been in this trade and you would have been up more than double on this trade. Now, from here on, we still think this trade can run another 400-500% higher. Okay, guys, let's dive into a quick history lesson in order for you to understand this trade a little bit better. So here's what we've got. I'm going to attempt to draw some wild things here. So imagine that this right here is United States. Okay, so United States, we've got Florida down here. Okay, roughly. Okay, so U.S. Okay, over here you have a bordering country that we all know is Mexico, and here you have another country that is Canada. Now, for the purpose of this illustration, well, no, United States is about 300 million people, and we've got all these different states, right? But imagine that instead of 300 million people, mostly spread throughout the country, some heavy populated states such as, for example, New York, right, or Florida with a ton of people, and of course the biggest state is right here, indeed, the state of California. But imagine that instead of 300 million people, almost equally spread throughout the country with the exception of this part, all of them actually did live right here. All, let's say 280 million people lived right here, and maybe 20 other million people were spread around the country. So imagine that this part of the country was the heaviest population, and 95% of the country actually lived right here. Now, for illustration, also imagine that the only weakest area where United States could have been invaded would be actually right here from this country. And let's forget for a second that this is Mexico. Let's just pretend that it's some country that was bordering us here in the United States, and this was the weakest area. So the highest population area was actually going to be the weakest area because maybe because of nature, the country was protected in such a way that nobody could attack it from any other area besides this area right here. What would we do here in the United States? Would it be a problem if we send 100,000 U.S. troops to this border where most of our citizens lived? And would this matter be even discussed anywhere in the world? Oh, United States sent 100,000 of its troops to protect this heavy populated area. Fuck no. Nobody would even give a shit. This would not be on the news. This would not be discussed anywhere. However, if we switch to picture number 2 here, which I try to save us some time and draw this out a little bit beforehand. So this is what we've got. So this is the situation in Russia. Okay, so this is Russia right here, and indeed, Russian population is only half of the United States, but most of it is concentrated right here. This is Moscow right here. So most of the 150 million population in Russia is in this part of the country. Now here you have Mongolia. You have China. Here you have some crazy cold seas covered with ice. Nobody can actually live here, which makes it very difficult strategically to target and invade Russia from anywhere here. Okay? Same thing here. There's only one big city that is highly populated here. The rest of part of the Russia, I mean, there's not many people residing here. And this little dot right here would be Japan. And of course, you don't want to invade Russia from this area because, well, damn, you got China right here, right? So you got, basically, if you invade Russia from here, what you're really doing is you're fighting Russia and China at the same time. That shit ain't gonna fly. Okay, so where could somebody possibly invade Russia? And would be right here. This orange piece is Ukraine. And so Ukraine has had a shaky relationship. For majority of its history, Ukraine has been a part of Russia way before Russia was even Soviet Union. But you know, when in 91 the whole country split up, you've got a bunch of little countries like, for example, here, that's Belarusia, okay? You've got Lithuania right here. You've got Poland right here, right? You've got Germany right here. You've got Romania right here. I mean, that's Ukraine, not UK. UK is actually all the way out there. I could barely fit it here on this page. So, so London, I mean, you got Germany. London is way out there. You got little bitty countries like Italy right here, France, right? So the importance of this is the fact that Ukraine is highly unstable. It's been trying to get protection from NATO, and of course, if that takes place, that gives United States the power to put missiles right here, close to Moscow. Now, this highly resembles a situation 60 years ago, right here. There's one little country right here. You guys should know this. Cuba. Okay, and the whole conflict back in 1962 was, back then, United States, President Kennedy was trying to avoid from Russia placing its military missiles in Cuba. Now, what most of the textbooks here in the United States won't tell us is Russia was only doing this in response to what? In response to the fact that there was another little country right here called Turkey. And the United States had its missiles in Turkey trying to target Russia back in the 60s. So, United States placed its missiles in Turkey pretty close. I mean, this blue circle right here is Black Sea, guys, which is insanely important. Strategic area for Russia. It's a gateway to all the other seas for Russia, but it's also an area of weakness from where it could be attacked. So it's critically for Russia to have a strong presence, which historically it always had the presence of Black Sea. But the United States placed its missiles in Turkey in response. What we've had is Russia was trying to place its missiles in Cuba in response to the United States placing its missiles there. So right now the conflict is no different, okay? United States ultimately planned to place its missiles right here. As you know, the conflict back in the days, right here, Cuban Missile Crisis, lasted about 13 days. It got pretty intense. And after all, United States had to remove its missiles from Turkey. And in response, Russia avoided placing its missiles in Cuba. And that was the end of story. Now, the history repeats itself now 60 years later with the United States trying to put its missiles in Ukraine, which is even closer to all the highly populated areas in Russia. And of course, President Vladimir Putin is trying to do everything he can to protect his country. And often he's portrayed as a villain. If it was taking place here in the United States, I promise you, we wouldn't be talking about 100,000 troops, probably have 500,000 troops right here at this border protecting our country. Now all of a sudden, the whole world sees something wrong with Russia trying to protect its country, but in reality, every country would have done the same thing. So the main issue over the next 2 weeks is Russia is going to try to make sure that United States signs some kind of pact to make sure that they will not be placing any missiles here. And United States has made it pretty clearly that they're not going to sign anything to that extent. So far, Putin is a civil guy who's going to try to go and get some kind of peace agreement in writing with the United States. But if United States does not back down, okay, neither will he. So this conflict can escalate rather rapidly because it is a matter of national security to Russia, and it is a strategic advantageous positioning for the United States, which has been in the works now for maybe close to 18, 20 years. But this situation here, just like back in 1962, can escalate very, very rapidly. And one of the responses that Russia can easily take, something that you probably already know of, but this is the first move that Russia can make, and that is the pipeline. See, the whole Europe right here, all of these countries, Poland, Germany, France, Italy, and so on, everybody is dependent on this Russian pipeline, which goes through UK to supply gas to all of these countries in Europe. And since Europe doesn't have the natural resources that Russia does, okay, the only other place you can really get the natural gas is from the United States, but it's very, very far away, and it's much, much more expensive. So geographically, they have been benefiting from Russia's proximity and relying on Russia's pipeline to provide gas for all of these countries. And so they would be at a huge disadvantage if this conflict was to escalate. Just the very fact that even if this conflict escalates just a little bit, we could see a huge, huge move in natural gas prices. So this is something that strategically would benefit United States, not just to weaken the Russian position, but also to be able to supply the gas from the United States to Europe at substantially elevated prices. So in either case, whatever happens here in the next 2 weeks, the gas prices have a 99% probability of moving higher, not lower. And so now that you know a little bit of background on this situation, let's take a look at the chart. Let's take a look at the actual chart of natural gas. Not so long ago, we had this natural gas prices just above $6, and that's where they created a multi-top, after which they've dropped and been consolidated now under $4. Now, we've initiated the trade on this last week, where the prices were about $3.70, $3.80 on natural gas. So since then, they've moved up substantially already. Actually, this morning they're above $4 with a gap up, and we still think there's plenty of room. There's no reason why these prices cannot hit this level, at least of $5.25, $5.50, and this would be a huge move. This could be a huge move to the upside, and this could all be happening over the course of the next 2 weeks. Now, you could be buying natural gas calls with a 4.1, 4.2 strike. They're very, very inexpensive right now still, and they potentially, if the price does reach a level of $5.25, $5.50, guys, you're looking at a 5x trade all day long, potentially a 10x trade here. Now, depending how the situation plays out in the next couple of weeks, guys, we could see natural gas prices actually break above this level next 16 days, and we could see a price closer to $7, which is absolutely freaking insane. And so this trade has a potential to be a 20x trade, depending on exactly what type of talks we're going to get here near term between Putin and Biden. Now, historically, let me just point out this fact that major moves happen in commodity prices when Russia is involved. And this is the last example that we've had in the recent history when oil prices dropped from above 40 to minus 30. Basically, when OPEC meeting was going on, OPEC involved countries. Russia is not a part of OPEC, but it's considered to be a major player in the oil market. And so when Russia was in disagreement, shortly after that, we had a fallout in oil prices. And this is the point where they actually got negative. You don't see the negative part on this chart because it only happened like for a brief moment intraday. But bottom line, we had a $70 move in the price of oil. Of course, it coincided also with the coronavirus and so on. So Russia was not the main culprit for this, but this is the initial move from about $44 to about $20. This happened as a result of Russia not fully participating in cutting the oil production at that moment. So since then, of course, oil prices have stabilized and so on. But this historic example can tell you when Russia is involved that you can have a very sharp move in something in either direction, by the way, within a very short amount of time. So when we're talking about a trade here, we're focusing on a particular strike, a particular time frame, and if you don't know how to trade this, guys, I would strongly encourage you to contact a trading coach here at 13 Market Moves, because what you will need is the exact ticker symbol for trading options on this. That's number one. This $ net gas, this is just at stock charts. That's the ticker they use. But in order to trade these contracts utilizing call options, targeting this explosive potential move higher, you would need to know the specific ticker, you would need to know the specific expiration, you would need to know the specific strike, you would need to know all these information in order to be able to put this trade together. So if you don't know how to do this, and by the way, this would mean that you would need to be able to trade options on futures. So if you're a beginner trader, you maybe just know how to put a call option or a put option on a stock, then you may not even know whether your account is set up or not set up to do that. And so if you're trying to really put this trade together, guys, I strongly encourage you to click the link below. Go to 13mmtv.com, click schedule a call, talk to a senior trader who will walk you through exactly all the details that you will need in order to participate in this trade over the next few weeks. Now, with that said, we've got trades, guys, that are happening now that are even way, way better than this trade right here. So if you're curious to know what they are, guys, don't waste any time. Subscribe. This year is going to be huge for trading. Ton of volatility. You want to take advantage of it. This is not going to be an easy market like you've seen in the last few years. A lot of money is going to be made on the upswings, the downswings. Most of the money is going to be made when things drop. So if you're not sure how to make money when things actually drop, take our courses. They'll definitely help you nail a lot of trades. They're going to be highly, highly lucrative, guys. So with that said, I'll catch you in the next video. Take advantage of this trade. Get in touch with the senior trader right now so you can put this trade on. Let's rock. I'll catch you in the next video soon.
Trading wins and losses is just like everything else in life that is worth fighting for. You remember your marriage? Man, it was beautiful when you were getting married, but you had no idea how ugly the losses of this divorce were actually going to be. Like opening a business, thinking you'd get rich overnight. But in the midst of it, you ended up maxing all of your credit cards just to sustain that business for a few years before you even realize a tiny bit of your first profits. Like buying a house, thinking it would go up in value forever and ever, just realizing how wrong you actually were when 2008 hit. Like having kids, it was such a great idea at first. Remember how excited you were, terrified and scared at the same time, how much joy you actually had. Until your kids turned 2. Man, the terrible 2s. You thought that was bad until they turned 13, 14, 15. Shit. But you wouldn't change it for anything. You love your kids, no matter what your emotional losses or wins are with them, no matter what your financial losses or wins are. It really doesn't matter, does it? You don't quit on your kids, no matter how tough things actually get. For some of us, it's the same thing with trading. Just think, how long are your kids going to be your kids? The answer is forever. How long do you see yourself trading the markets? If your answer is forever, then you owe it to yourself and your kids to invest in the 13 market moves formula, so that your life journey of trading would be most rewarding and joyful, both financially and emotionally. Live to trade, trade to live. Conquer the world one trade at a time, fearlessly using the 13 market moves formula today.